Okay, I came to Western Illinois University in 1968, sorry. And I had not a clue about what was going on there. And it was when Western was growing in leaps and bounds, and some crazy people around the art department, but they were good crazy, really. I mean, people from all over. And every summer we would have a kind of a football game, not my football, but American football, and we would go out to the little park and we'd play, and I hadn't a clue what it was about. And I got thumped not once or twice by people, but there's where I got Ken and saw him as a kind of a real amazing guy. What happened is, and I mention this again, that the story of Ken and myself learning how to drink a few beers on Thursday nights. I'll tell you a funny story. Okay, I said, Ken, this beer's C-R-A-P. He said, what are you going to do with it? I said, I'm going to make beer. So I went and got a bottles. So I took one over Saturday afternoon, and they just painted their kitchen. Opened up this bottle, and he went, and I saw Jan. I said, I'm getting out of here. Oh, but anyway, Ken was a terrific teacher too, really. They had a style then from the West Coast, and there was a guy called David Susek who was a friend of them, but they were not into landscape. And I think Harold, you'll know about his early works, or kind of where he taught him. But Ken really was such a decent guy to work with, to understand. Then, of course, Harold, we had Harold as a show, and he got a place in the gallery. He had about a foot of seed in our 40 by 40 foot, and it was like you could smell it from all over the place. And I thought, holy mackerel. Anyway, what happened was that I got to know Harold, and Harold at that time was painting structures in the landscape, you know, the things rather than, and I'd been painting landscapes for the basic of my life. It was part of what I did as a kid, and I lived in landscape, little village, little town, little. But Harold really became, Harold became the inspiration for all of us in the way that he took over and made landscape into a different language, particularly the flatscapes. I mean, they are just wonderful. They're full of joy. I mean, I don't mind dark and gloomy landscapes with a little bit of sunshine coming in, but Harold made it poetry. Harold made it like a way that we can understand the fruits of nature in our own personal kind of psychic kind of thing. And I was a little apprehensive at first. I mean, here's this guy, he's an amazing guy because he is not only got an MFA, but he's got a PhD. And he's super smart, and dare I say, my wife had a undergraduate with philosophy, and she and he got on better than he and me, because they were on the same wavelength about talking about ideas and so forth. I'm going to stop you. Okay.
Now it is.
Okay, my name is Fred Jones. I was born in World War II in a little village in Wales called Llanymynech, right on the border between England and Wales, half in England, half in Wales. We had a lot of people there, including German prisoners of war and American soldiers who came to our little pub and celebrated Thursday nights. But growing up in World War II, it was kind of hard, partly because there were 5 kids in our family and we were short of food, but the Americans would bring Spam. And my dad did not like American cheese. He would throw it away instead of eating it. But Spam was the big deal, and we enjoyed them a great deal, the American soldiers, and we were thankful for them too, obviously. So I go through my teenage years, and I know it'll get people not to understand, but my first love was soccer. I grew up playing soccer. I got my, self-confidence And at 16 or 17, I was playing with some pretty important people in soccer. But I knew that this would never go anywhere except owning a pub. All the professional soccer players ended up being alcoholics owning pubs. But and that's where, in some ways, I got involved in art rather than the more academic part of curriculum. I surprised everybody by qualifying for the university over there. And the university over there, you only get 10% getting in. It surprised me, it surprised everybody else that I did that. But art was my journey into the next part. And so I went to Cardiff College of Art. And looking back, compared with what I got at Madison, University of Wisconsin, it was, I shouldn't say this, but half. It wasn't good. Those people did not know how to teach. You did it all on your own, basically. Anyway, I got into teaching, taught in a high school in northern England. There, it was a tough steel town, but we had no problems with discipline. Oh my God, no. And because my landlady said, oh, Fred Jones played for West Bromwich Albion, which was a professional team. The kids just said, can I carry a case, sir? Is there anything you need today, sir? They not the art side of it, but the respect that I got because I was an athlete and a good one, kind of thing. Anyway, what happened is that I thought, and this is not going to be the rest of my life in this school, so I applied to America. Somebody gave me the idea that there might be places in America where I could study, and I ended up in Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh, and that's where I met the lady of my life. I did not like the United States when I first came here. The culture was different, just all kinds of different changes. And actually, not to make a long story short, but they were supposed to give me money in the first semester, and they didn't until the second semester. So basically, I was sleeping on park benches. And I went to the dean, and I said, look, I can't handle this anymore. So anyway, they got me a place to stay, and I survived. So from Pitt, we went back to, we got married in England after, and we ended up in Chester College of Art, which is a really good art school. And there I learned how to teach. I mean, you had to teach there. Otherwise, the chair or the head of department would get on you. And he was a nasty kind of guy if he wanted to be. So I learned really how to teach there, particularly the basic courses, drawing and basic design fundamentals. And then, of course, we came back to America thinking we were not earning enough money to buy a house, basically. So came to Western Illinois University, met people like Ken and other people, and I was teaching art ed, which I enjoyed, and also foundations, but then they said if you don't get an terminal degree, you're out of here. So anyway, I had a choice to come here or to go to Madison. And for some reason I went to Madison, and that was not a bad thing to do because it was just one of those crazy years in Madison in the 60s where it was pretty wild, but the people there, the students were more mature, they were doing some absolutely fantastic things. So it was a culture that I think I really enjoyed, and I mean, I had to get it done in a year and a semester, and so I was working 15, 20 hours a day to get into the thing, but it was fun, it was enjoyable. So anyway, come back, and they got me, I did printmaking as a major. People like Warrington Colescott was a major American printmaker, and anyway, I got my MFA, but I studied screen printing, which you did not have here. And that was the entrance into the art department for me, because in those days, Warhol was doing screen prints and everybody was. So I set up screen printing, and I got too many students. They loved it. The only problem was it was all, you clean your screens with whatever it was, alcohol or gasoline or something like that, and I would go home with a headache. In the meantime, in about 5 or 6 years, water basins came, and that was the godsend. But the screen printing program today is one of the best in the art department. It really is. And I think that it really did help me to get more involved in what we can talk about in terms of the projects that I've been involved with. In the meantime, I did go and have a sabbatical in London and Paris, and you've probably heard of Stanley William Hayter. He was probably the most important printmaker of the 20th century. Went to Paris, Atelier 17, learned how to use an engraving tool, and there were 53 people from all over the world there. Just amazing variety of people. And that was basically it. My education sort of, I came back to Western, taught lithography, but then, I know, the next step was this, that I could see from Madison there were things going on in the digital media. And my sons, who were both engineers, said, "You're too old for this stuff." I said, okay, but I got another sabbatical to go up there for a year and a half, and I got into digital media. But I set up the program for about 2 or 3 years. I said, no, I can't do any work. I'm learning all the time. It just, the amount of new information was coming at me, and I knew then, so I handed it over, and then I got back into printmaking. But that other year and a half with a guy called Ted Pope, and he was great. I mean, Ted was so smart and so, patient with somebody like me, and he would give me, I could work in his office and take over his computer, and he would teach me on his own. So that was another great experience up in Madison. So in the meantime, and this is where I got involved with a lot of people who were out of the jurisdiction of art, because Hayter set up in the 40s and 50s a place in New York, what's it called? Anyway, to bring poets and artists together to provide books and portfolios. So basically, I thought, well, I can do that, and I got involved with some of the art faculty, the English faculty at Western, and also people from Peoria, Jim Ballou, I don't know if you've heard of him. Yeah. Fabulous guy. So he and I worked together on 2 portfolios, and I think I have them here, that dealt with poetry and art in our region. And I'm really into that as a theme now. We have a lot of great things going on, and I know you are very much a part of this, to get some time for people to see how good the people are around here in the arts. So anyway, I did a number of portfolios, including the Western Illinois Folio, which was basically people from our area in the state, and Peoria. And then I also did a portfolio called the Illinois Portfolio, which is all about the best poets. I mean, Pulitzer Prize winner, Illinois Poet of the Year, Poet Laureate, you name it. We had the best people who were dealing with landscape, and also people like Harold and Jim Wynn. And so that is I think it's about 28 sheets of paper that went around the state, was in Chicago, was in the State Museum, and now is permanently installed in the Illinois State Library. And the other one is too. So basically that was it. And then I thought, well, you know, there's more to this than catches the eye. So I got more involved in poets and writers from Wales. Everybody's heard of Dylan Thomas, but I met a guy called Tony Curtis. Tony is a Royal Academician, just a beautiful guy. And he really wrote poetry with the best of people, and he was willing to help that side of the coin. He did the poetry, and I did collecting artists who dealt with Welsh American artists and Welsh books. So, and that again is around and about in the British Library, National Library of Wales, Welsh National Museum. And that was, I think, a real eye-opener, because I went over kind of naive, but I got to know people, particularly the poets, and there were some just great people who knew all about lived and worked with Dylan Thomas and the rest of them. They were really, truly wonderful, wonderful people. And I think that I know we got the best calligrapher in Wales to do the calligraphy of the poems. And they're in bilingual form, but don't ask me to translate. I know a little bit of Welsh, but not really enough to. But it was in around Wales, and it was around here too, as a portfolio. Finally, I think I got involved with people who were into landscape over there, and Tony was, of course, involved in landscape. So we did a number of projects that related to, well, the one was all about water in Wales. You know, you go there, this is a summer day in Wales. It's rain, 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 but there's beautiful scenery, just gorgeous lakes and streams and waterfalls and so forth. And so Tony wrote the poems, and a friend of his wrote more poems in Welsh. And, you know, I don't know, this sounds kind of stupid, but he would not translate them. So I said, you know what's going to happen over here? Nobody's going to know what your poet's about. It didn't matter. He's so Welsh, you know. And I did another project that involved going to Wales 5 or 6 times to paint the different regions in watercolors, and I global positioned them. So today you can go to that exact spot and see where I painted the scenery. Again, they're both in the National Library. In fact, I had a big show there of this work, which was really nice. Anyway, I'm getting back now into saving the planet. I feel in the Renaissance, people truly got involved in religion, and hopefully not crazy, but certainly there was a spirit there that I think helped people through a lot of misery and problems. And I feel now the artist has a room to play in trying to explain the beauty and the sublimity of our landscape. And you know, you think, well, Wales is just a pretty, beautiful, beautiful country, but I am stunned by the Midwest landscape. You get up in the morning, you see the sunrise, you go in, and the sunrise, the atmosphere, the space. There's so much there to talk about and to paint and draw and write about. I feel like we need to appreciate more. And certainly, I'd like to get young kids involved in painting and drawing and having workshops. Part of the, and again, I can show you what this is, part of the deal I'm doing now is to write coloring books that relate to preserving the planet. The monarch butterfly is an amazing story of survival from the West Coast to the Midwest or to Northern, and then they go back again. And I have a coloring book for 8 or 9-year-olds. Do you have kids?
Yeah, they're grown.
Oh, sorry.
No.
And then I got another coloring book that relates to Noah's Ark. You know, I'm conceiving because Noah's Ark, not as an ark, but as the planet is an ark, akin to Noah. So I'm looking at endangered species in the way that they can overcome what we put on them in terms. And the final one is, I missed the project out. I really enjoy looking at pigs. Nutty, crazy, but I did a portfolio of how pigs save the planet. A book. I haven't got it here, but it's one of the best things I've ever done. So basically what I did was I composed different kinds of pigs that were Monty Pythonish, that if we go too far over this genetic engineering, we'll get some really, really weird things. So anyway, I might have a little copy of some of those images that you can look at. Anyway, I truly want to get out and about and get the work around if possible. And I think there's another 10 good years to get things together. I am truly interested in dealing with people I know there are a lot of people who just cannot handle religion and the way that people are so, what's the word? I don't know what the word is for it, but I do feel like religion has a big part to play. And I don't care whether you're Muslim or whether you are, Catholic or Episcopalian or whatever. There is a deep sincerity there, I hope, that relates to we save the planet kind of thing. So, and that is something that I've talked to Marlene about and other people about. If I get a show here, we can pull some people in from the churches, or they can come, or we can go to their churches and they can get the pastors to give a lecture, a presentation on, the gift of the planet kind of thing. I want to be inclusive. And I should say one more thing. I don't know if I've shown you my book or journal on nature and the sublime. Did I show you that? No, I didn't.
No.
And I have a copy here, and actually you can have one. I got out of making books and portfolios, but into the book that I feel like, how do we appreciate this? And it's about a 45-page book on the way that people have seen landscape, quotations, poetry, paintings, whatever. And it would be a kind of almost like a area on the wall, or the book would be a kind of, the gallery would be like a book that you walk into, a large book, and you would go from page to page to page to page, and you'd end up with, whatever. But I'll show you that stuff.
Nice.
So anyway, sorry.
No, we're good.
You mean he was the teacher, by the way?
Yeah, he taught while he painted. I mean, it was like we were in Watercolor USA together and other shows. And of course, he truly became, I don't know, the equivalent of landscape in Europe. I mean, people who really painted landscape, the 19th century English artists, Constable and Turner were the cream of the crop kind of thing, but Harold has got an American status on that level because and as we mentioned, he not only painted, he taught. And you respected him because he had such a wide knowledge of art and philosophy and so forth and so on. I'll tell you a story. He was tough. You probably know he was tough as hell. Okay. We went to Italy with him, and he fell down this little ravine. I asked Harold, just before we went over the style, Harold, let me carry your easel. No. And then, so then I could help him out, and then we walk him to the hospital. Okay, we're scared as hell what's going on. So I thought, we'll go back up and see what he's at the hospital, see what he's up to. He was painting. He hurt his right hand, and he was painting with his left hand. As good as cool. So anyway, he was just amazing in that way. It just sort of seemed like he indefatigable in a way. I'm trying to think of another story we had. I know he almost got drowned fly fishing once, that I wasn't there, because we got into fishing kind of thing. Oh my, there was another tough story of him being.
So actually, the piece about Italy is great because I have him talking about it, I have Marlene talking about it, and I have you talking about it, which is perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other one where. Oh, I know. As you probably know, I played a lot of soccer, so I've got pretty good legs on me. And my son Gareth, Nancy could not come; she had some kind of problem with health. But we went with them and we were looking up, I think it was Ben Nevis or something, and right halfway up there's this huge rock stone, and it's the old man of somebody or other, and I said, let's go with Gareth. So we went, and we got up there, and I looked down, I looked around, there was Harold. It's like he got teenage legs on him. I couldn't believe that he did what we did, because I was in pretty good shape in those days. Just amazing.
Fun.
Yeah.
That's great.